So last review, I talked about Jason Rudy's Jess Franco riff Lady Hyde, a film that, while not really for me, did have some value to it. I say that, it's definitely made for someone like me, but it didn't quite work. But I admired what he did. While there were moments that dragged, it generally managed to recapture my interest by the next scene, thereby meaning that it accomplished one of the most important aspects of filmmaking. Don't be a fucking snooze. Sure, there are great directors one might classify as boring. I guess maybe Bellatar, for example, often makes movies that are a bit of a tough sit for many, but most would say that they at least have sufficient artistic merit to not be classified as wholly boring. Sure, they're slow, the shots are long, etc., but they have artistic value, they have a voice, they have something to say, they are very original, they are of a specific artist's mind. You know, you see a Bellatar movie and you're like, that's fucking Bellatar. These films can be a challenge, perhaps, but one that at the far end turns out to be worth the effort. Films are allowed to challenge one's patience without feeling like a complete waste of time. Blood for Irina is not that kind of film. Now, in my Lady Hyde review, I mentioned that there were films that... There's a screensaver? God dang it, I had this whole idea. All right, fuck it. Now, in my Lady Hyde review, I mentioned that there were films that committed the sins I attributed to that film to a far greater and more damaging degree. Thing is, I had never watched all of the film I was specifically referring to, so I sat my wasteful ass down and noticed its predecessor was a bonus feature on the Intervision disc on which it lived. This one. So I spent 69 grueling minutes watching Blood for Irina. Now, this is a film by former Fangoria editor-in-chief and noted Uwe Boll punching bag Chris Alexander, who apparently left that gig to pursue his passion for filmmaking and music. Now, I don't want to be a dick to any low to no budget filmmaker. It takes a lot to make a movie, and I am genuinely happy for Chris that he gets to do what he wants to do. That's a rare thing in life, so mad props, G. But that said, holy fucking balls, this movie is a slog. Oh my god. I want to reiterate / paraphrase something I said with Jason Rudy's film. It's not about being a ripoff, it's about how you rip off. In this case, Alexander is ripping off both Franco and, to a greater degree, Jean Rollin. Like with Lady Hyde, this love of the Eurotrash masters is well-intentioned, but misses the mark primarily because of how it's shot. Side note, like, Jean Rollin's films, at least his best films, have plot, and they have a lot of humor to them. I mean, Shiver of the Vampires, which I'm about to review for my Patreon, which you can, go to the link in the description to look at that.
We've got to have money.
But, like, there's a plot there, and there's a lot of humor. It's a very funny movie. A lot happens. Like, there's a lot that goes on. All the best movies from both these guys, there's a lot going on. Not as much as, like, a fucking Bellatar movie, but it's not that simple. Anyway, credit where credit is due on the shot thing. At least Jason Rudy seems to know the basics of lighting and exposure to a degree. With Alexander, and to be totally fair, I have not watched the movies he made after this, I would be shocked if he knows what the ISO button does. This thing, it looks like shit. Just lots and lots of digital noise all over the place, set over images that are meant to evoke the vibes offered by Franco and Rollin, but are far from the visual eloquence Alexander seems to think he's providing. With how long he stays on these shots, it seems like he thinks he's fucking Bellatar.
Sometimes there's so much beauty in the world. I feel like I can't take it.
Now, that's not to say there's zero good examples of cinematography, just that none of it is worth staring at for what feels like minutes at a time. We get lots of wandering around, looking at buildings and signage while our titular vampire walks the streets, takes victims to her hotel room, vomits up just enough blood to fill her mouth, and yeah, that's about it. That's about it. And look, I get it. Story's hard, and peeps be loving their methodically placed, artsy vibe pictures. Heck, I love those kind of movies. I like a slow burn. I love Roland and Franco as well. The thing is, though, neither of those filmmakers are particularly slow. There's an argument to be made that some of Roland's work can get a bit tiresome at times, but that's not something to fucking emulate.
It's kind of cinema in its purest essence.
I'll go one step further. That kind of filmmaking is so much harder to accomplish than something with even a formulaic story to push itself forward. In this instance, in the Blood for Irina instance, there's really not much in the way of narrative. It's just excuses to have moody music playing over a film that's dialogue-free and stare at close-ups of mundane objects or TV screens tuned to static or whatever. Which again, might work given some good cinematography and a basic-ass understanding of how to operate a camera. Here, the best aspect is that our dear director owns a tripod. And regarding the music, composed by Chris Alexander, of course, it's fine. It's fine. Not terribly original or exciting, but not inept. Give it a listen. I don't understand, like, it just seems like there is this infatuation with Chris's own talent that's stopping him from going further than he should be, if that makes sense. Now, backing up a moment, I will be totally fair. There is some more story than I'm giving the film credit for, but to explain further would kind of spoil what little mystery there is in this one. After all, this is a borderline plotless film. I can't reiterate that enough. Made to provide the viewer vibes. Maybe if there was, like, some more for Irina to do, so that we could better appreciate how shitty her life is without questioning the choices of our own. But sadly, that is not the case. Like, I get it, Chris. Being a vampire is not particularly glamorous. Cool. That's not a fucking feature film. Go watch a movie. Maybe not the one that's a special feature on this disc. Fuck.
His movies are bad, they're terrible, they're awful.